Have you ever seen a small child in his father's arms? One little hand clutches the lapel of his father's jacket, while his head presses against that strong, protective chest. Tensions may be all around, but the child is not threatened because he feels safe. This safety is no longer present in our world today. The greatest want of our world is the want of men, good men, men who will not be bought or sold, men who in their inmost souls are true and honest, men who do not fear to call sin by its right name. The Almighty God have set the foundations. God first, Christ second, man third, and woman fourth. Therefore, build your house like the wise men on the almighty foundations where you built for eternity.
Good morning. My name is Leticia Agas. I work at Lalo Maluz as a nurse, a pharmacy technician, and whatever I can help with. I was raised in a Christian home, and my mom put the fear of God in my life. You know that all things come from God. And though she was a Christian, not Seventh Adventist or anything, but she was a Christian that instilled in us the fear of God. And she showed me how my sister was very sick and how God answered and healed her, things like that. So from small, I had that God can do many things as long as you believe. Apart from God calling me to adopt me into His family, it was with my husband. You know, he was a man of God, I would say, always in God's business. And there was this one time when they were going to have a meeting at the Belicity. And he was going to take some members along with him in the car. And it was early morning, and I said, hey, have breakfast before you go. And he said, oh, no, I'll eat on the road. And he said, come on, just eat before you go. And so I served him his food, and he was sitting there about to eat with his first, piece of food that he was going to put in his mouth when he had a stroke. I said, if he had gone in the car, he would have killed himself and the people that were there. But that was the beginning of a chain of miracles. He had a stroke, the neighbors came, brought him to the hospital. Doctor says it's um, aneurysm that had burst, and he said there's the mortality rate is very, very high, and there's nothing we can do here in Belize. And so he told me, you need to take him somewhere else as soon as possible. So we were in the room when doctor was telling me this. You know, he had this stroke, and at the same time, when the members in the church in the union they heard about it, the everybody that was gathered for that special meeting started to pray for my husband. His name was Victor. They started to pray for him. At that same time, when they were praying, my husband started to move his paralyzed side. But the CAT scan things show that still he needed surgery. And so that's miracle number two already, right? Uh, I decided, well, I'm going to take him to Guatemala as the closest to Merida. To me, I have family there, and I said, well, I'll take him there. And I inquired how much for an ambulance, an air ambulance, and they told me it was 3,100 and something. And I realized that all I had in my name was $3,000. So if I use it for the ambulance, I wouldn't have money for the doctor. So I had him home, ready to take him to Guatemala. And when a friend of mine came by and he says, I heard Victor is out of the hospital. I said, yeah, where is he? He's in the room. And she went to see him, hey, but he looks bad. I said, yeah, what are you doing? I'm going to take him to Guatemala. And how are you taking him? Well, I can't afford the ambulance, so I will try to see if the commercial airline will take him from Flores. So somebody was going to drive me there. She said, wait, I'll talk to my husband. And so she went and talked to her husband, and 15 minutes later, she said, don't worry about the air ambulance. We've paid for it. So they paid for it. That's another miracle. Okay, so they took him in the air ambulance to Guatemala City. There they told me that he needs surgery and that it will be like 20,000 US dollars. I said, oh, where will I get that money from? My dad had just died and he had left some money for my mom. And my sister said, here, I have a whole lot of credit cards. Let's empty all of them and let's pay for this. He was in intensive care. And then we went to talk to the doctor, to told my husband that we have the money for the surgery. And he said, nope. I said, what? I'm not getting surgery here. I said, why? I said, we have the money, we can do it. He said, no, God spoke to me. And he said, I will not have the surgery here. I said, well, in my unbelief, I said, maybe because of the bleeding that's going on, he's thinking that God told him that, but I can't go against his will, he's conscious. And so I couldn't stay there because it was intensive care. I had to go back home with my sister, and when I reached home, somebody called me from Lalomalus. And he said, Sister Leti, we're trying to see how we can help you guys. And we contacted some hospitals in the States. And there are 3 hospitals that are willing to take his case for free. So I said, what? I was all, God, how God can really work things out for you. So we take him out of the hospital, and brought him in airplane. And when my mom took care of that expense, I came here. There was a group of nurses here from one of the hospitals in Ohio. So they all helped me, and I ended up in Ohio, not knowing that was the best hospital for those kind of cases in the States. And I got everything for free. I mean, everything, even food for myself, an apartment, everything for free. That's another way God worked on him. He came back 3 weeks later, he's driving like if nothing had happened. That's another miracle. After that incident, he continued working for God. He was normal. And he had a heart attack 3 years later. And I remember that the doctor had told the nurses, if he stops breathing, don't do anything, because his heart is in no condition. We can't do nothing for him. It had been his 3rd heart attack. And the echocardiogram showed that he had only 28% of his heart working. So with that, had a heart attack, the 3rd one, the doctor said, this doesn't make sense to try to revive him because he's going to die. Well, knowing that, I told my daughter, I said, sweetheart, before you go to school, make sure you come and tell Daddy you're going to school. I had spent the whole night with him. He was cold like dead. Ice. There was lots of purple patches where there's not much circulation going on anymore. And she came before she went to school. And she said, Dad, I'm going to school. And my husband, that had spent all night just gasping for air, he opened his eyes and just yawned like he was in a deep sleep. And he took out his cannula, his oxygen cannula. He got up, he sat down, and he said, I want to bed. He just got up like we were waiting for him for his last breath. And he got up and the nurses are just looking like, what's going on here? We had a male nurse here, and he just came, and the nurse, the last nurse that had left that night, she went home crying because they like him a lot, and she knew that he was going to die. And now he came and said, he get up, I don't want this anymore, I want to be it. And the nurse helped him up in a wheelchair, took him to the take a shower, and he was going to put him back in bed. He said, no, I'm not going back there. And that night, the brethren from the church came and had a service right in the hospital in the back, and they had a Thanksgiving service. And God gave him another 3 years. And then it's just amazing how God just works for you, works for you, works for you, and until he's seen that your purpose is done. And his life has been an inspiration to many people. They still remember him, and the way he just get up like from the dead to continue working for him, and he worked till the last. And when he was going to die, I didn't know, but he did. He did because he went to different places to say goodbye, even though he seemed normal. He went to see my mom. I said, this is my last visit with you. He went to church. I said, my last sermon with you. And from now on, you won't see me again. When you want to see me, you come by the tree of life. Under the shade of the tree of life, I'll be meeting for you. I'll be waiting for you guys. That's what his last message was. And we came back home, and he wanted to see some friend. And again, we took him there to San Pedro, and from that was it. We came back, and from that moment, he just lived like like a week, and he was gone with the hope of the resurrection. Those are just miracles related to his life that have impacted me, and I can tell other people that it's the same God that we are serving today. That He will not allow anything that to harm you, but if we are willing, He can use us to be a testimony of how real He is. There's so many other ways that God has just proven Himself faithful to me, but I might take the whole day telling you guys. But yeah, God is faithful, and miracles do exist, and I see them often in my life. I like this verse in Philippians chapter 4, verse 19, I think. It says, my God shall supply all your needs according to His riches in glory. And when it says all, it means all. Be it physically, if you're sick, be it financially, if you're in lack of funds, be emotionally, He's there for you in every way, in all the aspects of my life. He has been faithful, and what He says is true. He supplies all our needs. I believe that God, our Father, He is interested in all of us, not only my husband, not only me, not only, a few people. He loved the whole world, and He sent His Son for the whole world. So the promises that I find there in Philippians, that my God shall supply all your needs, applies to everybody. If you're going through emotional distress, whatever, He wants to be your counselor. If you're going through sickness, just put your life into His hands, and He'll be your doctor. If you're financially you're broke, I have tell you, I can tell you, God can supply my needs before even you ask for them. And He doesn't have favoritism. He's a God for everyone. And we just have to truly believe, because sometimes we believe, that was in the past, or that was for such a person, but He can do it for me. But that's a lie from the enemy. Okay, he wants to keep us down. He brings all kind of sickness, trials, all kind of problems to keep us down. But God wants to lift up. He always says, come up, get up. I can do this for you. And He can do it for whoever wants to trust Him. And trust comes as you decide, okay, let me trust him in this little one, and he comes through for you, and as the friendship continues, you will see that trust grow, and then you can trust him for big things, because he likes to amaze us with all his power and his goodness for us. I was a time in my life that I was really going through emotionally, financially, all the illy. you know. And I decided to move to a house and like start all over. And I didn't have a fridge. I had a stove. I didn't have a washer. Like start all over. And I said, little by little, I will buy my things, little by little. It so happened that a friend says, Letty, I need a place to stay just 3 days. I said, come home. I don't have all kind of fancy things, but you have a shelter. And she came. And he said, you don't have a fridge? I said, no. Oh, and I brought some juice and some milk and thing. I said, no, I'll buy it one of these days, but not right now. I don't have one. And I came to work. And when I reached home, there was a fridge, there was a new stove, there was a washer. I said, what? I said, a Christmas gift for you. So be it whatever situation you are in, just trust him. Just trust him. He just knows what you need. Sometimes we want things. Sometimes he spoils us with even giving us things that we want. But when it comes to needs, my God will supply all our needs. He does. He's faithful. He's faithful, has been faithful to me, and he can be faithful to anyone who wants to trust him as the real God who he is.